guys, my name is Cyan Martin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this week, I have been in quite the mood to just read a few fantasies, and I have a few on my TBR that I kind of just want to get rid of. Not like get rid of, but I want to go ahead and read. So I have picked out a few for this week, and that's what we're going to be doing, is just kind of reading some fantasy romances. And the first one I actually picked out is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Sorelli. I haven't really heard anything about this book, but it's a witch and a witch hunter, so that immediately is intriguing to me, and I just really want to read this one. So that's what we're going to start off with. Okay, so I have officially made it, I would say about 50% of the way through this book. I am on chapter 26, page 179, and let me just say I am eating this up. So this is definitely a YA fantasy romance. It is about a girl named Rune, and she is what is known as the Crimson Moth, aka she is a very powerful witch who has been going behind closed doors and saving witches because this town does not like witches, and there is a witch hunter named Gideon who has been trying to find the Crimson Moth, who she is, why she is saving all these witches, and pretty much punish her. And he does suspect that it is Rune, so in order to kind of investigate it a little bit more, he starts courting her to get closer to her, and at the same time she is aware, of course, that he is this big powerful witch hunter, so she's also playing a game with him, trying to learn more about his, what is it called? His team and his network of witch hunters, and figure out where a certain witch is at that she is in particular trying to save at the moment. From all that I've said, you can pretty much tell that they are both pretty much faking their interest in one another, but you can tell that they are actually starting to like one another, but at the same time they both have obligations to their causes that prevent anything from happening between them. But I am loving it. I am telling you right now, the tension is so good. I do believe that there is a little bit of a love triangle because Gideon is not only a witch hunter, but he is Rune's best friend's brother. Rune's best friend is Alex, so there is a little bit of a love triangle, and right now I like both brothers, which is kind of rare for me. I feel like normally pretty early on I like one over the other, but both of them seem pretty good. I feel like they both really care about Rune in certain ways. I do feel like, though, there isn't that much world building. Like, it does feel historical, which I feel like a lot of fantasies do take place in historical times, or they just have that feeling like there's horses, carriages, all of that kind of stuff. And the way they dress, there's balls happening, and of course the whole courting situation is very historical feeling. So yeah, I really like that it takes place in that time period, but the magic system is a little strange because in order to cast spells they have to collect blood from their monthly cycles. So I mean, obviously I'm a woman, I have a monthly cycle, I don't care, I'm not like, ew, that's disgusting, but at the same time I kind of am, because like it's just weird. That's just a little tidbit that was a little weird to me, but it still doesn't take away from the story. I'm still really enjoying it, and I'm gonna sit here and devour the rest of this book and honestly probably finish it by the end of the night because I'm having that much fun. Okay, so I did just finish reading what is this called again? Heartless Hunter. I know in some places it's called Crimson Moth, which makes more sense. I don't know why it has a different name here, but This was amazing. I am going to go ahead and just say off the jump that I'm going to give this 5 stars. I loved everything about this book. It read so easily and so fast. I loved the relationships between our characters, loved all of our characters. You get to learn more about their backgrounds and why they are the way that they are. There is a little bit of a plot twist at the end, which I was able to guess throughout the story, but it still didn't take away from how good the book was. Even if you are able to guess the plot twist, it's still an incredible read, and I would highly recommend this. I'm going to be thinking about this for a very long time. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Divine Rivals in the sense that it was just so easy to read and it kept you engaged the entire time. So if you liked Divine Rivals, I feel like you would definitely love this book as well. Or if you're just into YA fantasy, then you're probably going to really like this. The tension, the romance, the plot, just everything was so good. I'm almost speechless at how much I love this book. This is definitely going to be one of my top 5 stars from this point on, and I am so excited for this author to come out with the second book. I don't know if it's going to be a longer series or a duology or a trilogy, but I need more. So I think that's all that I need to say about it. So it is the next day, and I've decided to pick up another book, of course, and the one that I want to read now is actually called A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is another fantasy book. I believe this one is going to be adult fantasy. I don't really know much about it at all. I just know that I have been seeing it go around a little bit, and people tend to love it. I want to love it too, because I did just read a really good fantasy romance. I am hoping that this one lives up and is just as good. Okay, so it is the next day. I did read through a good bit of Fate Inked in Blood. I'm on chapter 18, page 188, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit of a struggle to get through this much of the book. I don't know what's going on, but for some reason I just find myself reading a little bit, putting it back down, picking it up, putting it back down. Cycle repeats. The book is not bad though. It is about Bjorn and Freya. In this world, Freya is someone who, when she was born, she was given a little bit of blood from a goddess, therefore blessing her and giving her powers and protection from said goddess. And there are certain people who were born that way. She has hidden it most of her life, but now the king has found out, and he is basically going to marry her in order to use her as a weapon. And at the same time, they are making this journey with him and his son, Bjorn, who she actually is, I'm guessing, going to start develop feelings for. You can already feel a little bit of tension between her and Bjorn. And honestly, I don't know what is happening to me right now, but I'm not loving it. Maybe the last book I read put me in a little bit of a slump or what, but it's just not doing it for me. I also feel like because I went from a YA to an adult fantasy, I have to kind of pay attention a little bit more, focus a little bit more, and just think and process the information a lot harder than I did in the other book. So for some reason, I'm not in the mood for it, but I am going to keep reading and try to finish it because it's confusing when it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like, there is a ton of interesting things happening, but I'm just not wanting to continue reading. Probably a reading slump, but we're gonna continue through and see how much we can get read today. So it is a couple of days later, and I finally, slowly but finally, finished A Fate Inked in Blood. And I don't know what to say because this book was not bad at all. I was entertained while reading it, but for some reason my brain was just somewhere else. Like, if you asked me what this book was about, I honestly couldn't even tell you. I feel like if I had to give it a rating right now, it would probably be sitting at like a 3.5 because, like I said, I wasn't bored or anything. It's just that it wasn't one of those books where I was all in, gripped, and completely in love with it. And I am aware that that's not really 100% fair because of the fact that I feel like I'm kind of going into a slump while reading this. So just gotta take my thoughts with a grain of salt because it probably wasn't bad. It was probably just me and my own issues. Now that we are done with that one, we are going to move on to another book. And this time I've decided to pick up Starling House. This isn't sponsored, but I am aware that I have been reading all of my past book of the month books. I just kind of want to get them out of the way because they're the only hardcovers on my TBR. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's why I'm mostly reading those this week. But this, I think, is it's a gothic fantasy, and I know it has something to do with like a magical house. So I feel like that might be interesting. So here's the thing. It is a couple of days later since I started reading Starling House, and once again, I am just picking this up, putting it back down, going through it so slowly. I don't know what it is. This book is about a girl. I honestly don't even know her name. She's taking care of her brother. She's had kind of a bad home life, and she needs money, so she decides to take up a job cleaning up Starling House, which is like this very famous house with a very weird owner. Everyone in town kind of knows about it. It's just mysterious. A lot of weird things happen. The house seems magical, and you're also getting the history and the past of the other people who have lived in this home and everything like that. I honestly am a little confused too by some of the things that are happening. Like apparently the mom that used to live there was like a warrior or something like that. I don't know. Okay, I am very confused by this book. I don't really particularly care for either of our characters. She seems kind of rude. I understand that she's going through a lot, but she describes the owner of the house like as ugly right off the bat. That's a little mean. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I guess I'm gonna try to keep reading and see how much further I can get. But another thing that really does bother me is that lots of times, let me see if I can find one, there are these little footnotes that they expect you to read, and it's not a tiny little footnote, like one sentence. That's like a whole paragraph on its own, and there's a good bit of them throughout the book. I'm already having to read a lot. I don't want to stop and read your footnotes, but that's just me, okay? I don't know, not vibing with it. I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a chance and see how it goes. I mean, there is beautiful art throughout the book. This is just a tree, but it's an example. There's a good bit of art throughout it, but I'm gonna just keep reading just a little bit longer and see what happens. Okay, so I have fully come to the conclusion that this book is a huge DNF for me. I am just not having a good time reading it. I have been trying to read it for probably 4 days. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I just cannot get into it. There are beasts, and there's a warden of this house, and the house does all this magical stuff, and they think they're opening the portal to hell, and it's just too much. Also, like I said, the little footnotes that are not little by any means were just getting on my nerves. I could not take it. Footnotes are not meant to be that big, okay? Footnotes are meant to have like a translation of a different language or the definition of a word people might not know. They're not meant to be paragraphs. And I couldn't do it. I honestly was trying so hard to read this book, but I should have DNF'd it 50 pages in. Instead, I waited until almost 200 pages to DNF it. So there's a lesson for everyone. If you're not enjoying a book, you don't have to keep reading it. I know every book influencer says that, but I'm being so serious. DNF books if you're not having a good time. So there you have it. I do want to pick up one more book for this video, and hopefully this one will do it for me because the past two just haven't been amazing like I wanted them to be. This book I am pretty excited about because the cover is really pretty, and I've seen some quotes on my For You page, so I do want to read it. Let me grab it because I am never prepared for anything. That book is The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. This cover is beautiful. It is, I mean, I think it's a little bit more of a shorter fantasy book. Yeah, the text is big. It's right up my alley. Ooh, is there art in this one too? Come on. Come on. I also do think that I have read maybe one book by her. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making that up in my head. Maybe I've seen another book by her, but I don't think I've read one by her. But yeah, she really did it for me with this cover. This was great branding because I'm definitely judging this book by its cover and I want to read it. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so we're at a very weird angle, but I have been devouring this book. I'm so happy because I really thought I was in a reading slump, but I am 50% of the way through. This one is about Dacre and Nira. There's a pronunciation guide at the very front, but did I read that? No. Anyways, she is the princess of a very bad king in this kingdom. Of course, I feel like we've seen this a lot, right? She has been living in the streets, she is captured, and then comes along Dacre. Dacre and his father are heading the rebellion, and what they do is they go and basically save people from the prison and then recruit them to join the rebellion. It's either you join or you die. And so now she has been captured by them. They don't know her true identity, and she is going to just become part of the rebellion. She's been training with them while also keeping her secret from everyone. And I just feel like it's going to end badly because whenever Dacre finds out about her secret, but you can definitely feel the tension building. I am loving it. We have definitely seen this plot before, but it doesn't feel the exact same as anything I've ever read before. It does feel well done, and I am enjoying it, and it is exactly what I need right now. It is like a fast-paced, fun fantasy romance, so I am really enjoying it. So we have to talk about it because I did just finish up reading The Veiled Kingdom, and this was so much fun. I am going to go ahead and give it a 4 stars because, like I said, it does feel a little bit repetitive. It's a storyline we have seen in other fantasies before, which I can't really fault the author because I feel like at this point, the whole secret princess, your father's a king, you're gonna join your enemy is like a trope in itself almost, so I'm not faulting her for that. So I still did really enjoy this book so much, and the ending, talk about a cliffhanger. I need the second book right now because I'm shocked. I barely ever get shocked at the end of a book. For some people, they might be like, girl, the ending was not that big of a deal, but for me, whoa. I am rethinking everything I thought about these characters. I am excited for the second book to see what continues and happens between these two, and wow, I am just so I think it's safe to say that I might be out of my reading slump. I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like this video has been chaotic. In the beginning, I read a book I really loved, 2 books in between that really put me in a slump, and then this one. So I am so thankful for this, for hopefully getting me out of that because of how long it took me to read those other 2 books. I have been filming for probably like 2 weeks now, so this was crazy. I'm so glad that I read that. But that is it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought, if you have read any of these books, any book recommendations you might have for the future. And yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!